Coming up on Mountain News this morning, hate crimes are increasing in the United States as the war in Israel continues, and not every Kentuckian feels safe at home. And the candidates continue their tour of the Commonwealth as the election approaches.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6 a.m. on November 2nd. Now let's check in with Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. And Brandon, really all there is to it is it's really cold out there. It's starting to actually feel like the holiday season, I guess you could say.
It's kind of like that Christmas song, Olivia. Olivia, it's cold outside. So that's what we're dealing with this morning. A little bit of frost out there. We're taking a look up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain. And it's 27 up there. That's actually one of the warmest spots in the region. We have one spot with a 30 degree reading, and that's it. Everybody else is in the 20s, and some of them in the teens, parts of Southwest Virginia, Jonesville, Clintwood, both at 19, Jackson at 30, a lot of 23 to 25 degree readings with some warmer readings up toward Moorhead, Pikeville, both at 28, and Prestonsburg literally just dropped to 28. They were at 29 there, live on the air this morning. So temperatures still dropping for a couple more hours. Remember, sunrise isn't until 8 o'clock this morning, so it could be even past 7 o'clock be our coldest part of the day. But once the sun comes up, we're going to go up. 55 a daytime high. Dry conditions linger thanks to a ridge of high pressure. We'll talk more about that forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon. Martin County is under a state of emergency right now after a man died in a building collapse at an idled coal plant. Another man is still missing, trapped under the rubble. Crews from around the state have rushed in to help and try to find him. While the situation is still ongoing in Martin County, our sister station, WKYT, has been talking to coal mining experts in Lexington. Grayson Passamore has the latest on the situation.
At 6:30 Tuesday night, tragedy struck the Martin County community.
And it's unlike something I've never seen. You know, the candle factory in Mayfield was similar, but this is just unlike something I've ever witnessed.
One man is dead and another trapped under rubble after an abandoned 11-story coal mine building that was set for demolition collapsed.
130 feet high. With concrete structures on each floor. So a tremendous amount of weight, tremendous amount of force, tremendous pile of rubble there now.
Officials say workers were inside the Martin Mine Prep plant trying to secure some equipment before they can begin to find out why and how the building fell. The rescue team still has one man to find.
Those rescuers' lives are in danger as we speak. They're going into a very unstable structure and they're in efforts to save lives. And so, you know, they're going to risk a lot to gain a lot.
An idle plant is one that is no longer in use, and this plant closed a decade ago. Dismantling idle coal prep facilities is nothing new, but coal mining experts say a disaster like this one is rare.
I've never heard of anybody in my lifetime being hurt on the demolition side of a coal facility.
As professor of mining engineering at UK, Dr. Rick Honaker explains most injuries occur when a mining facility is active, not when it's being torn down.
It's part of the demolition process to restore the land back to its original place. What happened in this case, it's who knows.
But right now, the only question those in Eastern Kentucky want answered is when they'll be able to bring their men home.
Yes, this community, it'll take a lot of time for them to get over this, and they never will get over it. It'll just be there.
In Martin County, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
The names of those workers have not been released. Another news conference is expected this morning at 10 a.m. and we do plan to have that available for you here on WYMT. There have been some devastating events involving coal mines through the years in Kentucky, and here are some of the biggest ones to happen in the mountains. In 1970, 38 people were killed after an explosion at Finley Mine on Hurricane Creek in Leslie County. 6 years later, 26 people lost their lives after a series of blasts at the Scotia Mine in Letcher County. No one was killed in another Martin County incident in 2000. but a spill from a waste containment pond polluted more than 100 miles of creeks, streams, and rivers running through Kentucky and West Virginia. And finally, 5 people were killed in the Darby mine disaster in Harlan County back in 2006. Deputies captured a Laurel County burglary suspect that was considered armed and dangerous. 39-year-old William D. Reagan went missing yesterday morning in the area of Slate Ridge Church Road, about 2 miles east of London. Later, deputies say Reagan had a machete on him when he broke into a home off Spring Cut Road near Rocky Branch Road. He was arrested in Knox County last night off Kentucky 830 and on Hazel Fork Road. He was charged with burglary and taken to the Laurel County Detention Center. When the war in the Middle East began, the FBI warned of a possible rise in anti-Semitism across the country. Jeremy Toms spoke with 2 Jewish University of Kentucky students about their concerns that hatred or violence could come to the Commonwealth.
For 2 UK seniors in the Jewish community, their years in Lexington have been largely enjoyable.
Loved my time here at UK, loved my time here in Kentucky. I love the state.
The times have come with some instances of ignorance about their religion along the way.
Obviously, you'll run into folks like every now and then who will slip up or just be confused or not really have the greatest type of insight.
But it's actions that are born of malice, which they worry about now amid the ongoing war.
It's very scary to have to think that it can come so close to home.
You know, I don't wear anything that would show my religion just because you just don't know how people are going to react.
These students leave their Star of David in their drawer when they head out to class, and they don't want to identify themselves in this story for fear of backlash.
And there's so much passion right now, everyone's hurting, I'm hurting, but you still have to center humanity and recognize that, people are still people.
The 2 seniors say some peace of mind would go a long way in a world where it feels increasingly hard to find. A UK spokesman tells me the university invested millions towards safety measures and they aim to be a community of belonging. But these students are disheartened that the university hasn't been vocal in condemning hate crimes.
It shouldn't be conflicting or controversial to come out and be like, hey, anti-Semitism is bad, you shouldn't do it.
Just having folks in your corner to say, hey, we see ya, and also we're here to protect you is just the bare minimum in my opinion.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Lexington police say they handle hate crimes on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes their agency will respond to these incidents. Other times UK police will, or both agencies will work together. They encourage anyone who is a victim of hate or bias-motivated crimes to come forward and report it. Yesterday, the candidates for governor were busy talking to voters all over the state. Governor Andy Beshear took his bus tour to Lebanon, Springfield, Danville, Bardstown, Elizabethtown, and Louisville. He highlighted economic development in the state and urged potential voters to see his vision for an even brighter future. Meanwhile, Republican candidate Daniel Cameron took his bus tour to Shepherdsville, Campbellsville, Glasgow, Bowling Green, Hopkinsville, and Murray. Former UK swimmer Riley Gaines was at some of the stops. She made headlines after competing against a transgender swimmer in the NCAA championships. Cameron says he stands for Kentucky values. And we want to remind you, early voting for Kentuckians begins today and runs through Saturday. If you cannot make it to the polls next Tuesday, you can go to an early voting location to cast your ballot. Every registered voter is eligible for early voting. Visit govote.ky.gov for more information on where early voting will take place in your county.
6:09 here on this Thursday morning, and again, it is a cold one across our region. Let's go down to Mount Vernon now along I-75. A little bit of light traffic down that way this morning, but the big story continues to be the temperatures. Jackson is somehow holding on to that 30-degree reading, but everybody else is in the 20s except for Jonesville and Clintwood both at 19 this morning. A lot of frost out there, so give yourself time to get those cars warmed up and or scraped off if they were parked outside overnight. Upper 20s, Moorhead, Prestonsburg, Pikeville. Mid-20s to upper 20s across parts of the region there. Harlan and Somerset both at 27. Breakfast forecast for you today. We are looking at pretty cold out there this morning. Temperatures in the low to mid-20s for most areas as you start your day. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon, and thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. When we return, Americans are beginning to leave Gaza as the fighting intensifies.